American women are garbage, and in this video, I'm going to explain why. It's not enough to say that women are garbage. You have to give good reasons, or not so much good reasons as to how the state of affairs came to pass. You're a guy, presumably, right? 97% of my audience are guys. I always say this. And so you, as a guy, you come to my channel, what? You want some life experience, you want to know how to handle women, shit like that, right? And so I'm here telling you that American women, and a lot of European women too, I'll get to them in just a moment, a lot of them are just garbage. They're just, they're just not worth the effort. There are other women in other countries, in other places, that are worth the effort. But unfortunately, American women, not all of them, but the vast majority of them, are just not worth it. And let me explain how this happened. See, it happened because the United States and the Western democracies were rich. Simple as that. See, there's this great author called J.D. Unwin. He wrote a book called Sex and Culture. And in it, he basically studied why certain cultures decayed. And he came to the same conclusion that all cultures decay because they become successful, therefore they become rich. And because they become rich and successful and comfortable, they find it easier to give women more and more sexual freedom. And as they give women more and more sexual freedom, what happens is that the men become unmotivated and eventually the civilization decays. That's what J.D. Unwin said. And he's a big-time anthropologist, or was a big-time anthropologist, out of Oxford and shit. I mean, like a big brain, right? He came to this conclusion 90 years ago. Yeah, look it up. The PDF of the book is out there, Sex and Culture. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that, see, the United States is a rich culture. The Western democracies are rich cultures. And what has happened? Well, what's happened is that over the last 50-odd years, women have been catered to. Any desire, no matter how trivial, it's fulfilled. And the society acts as if it ought to be fulfilled. It acts as if the whims of women are so important that they should be fulfilled at all costs. In other words, women in the United States and in the Western democracies, in the UK, France, Netherlands, Germany, right? The women in these countries, they are entitled. They're spoiled. It's simple as that. Entitlement is just a fancy word for being spoiled, but it's the same fucking thing. See? These women, they've been spoiled. The whole society caters to their whims. And so they've grown to believe that they deserve all kinds of privileges and a wonderful life. They don't understand that in life, life is hard. Life is exceedingly hard. And you don't deserve anything. Whatever you have to go out and earn it. You have to take it. But these women, over the last 3 generations, quite frankly, they've grown up believing that they are entitled to all kinds of things, not only in their work, not only in terms of money and material well-being, but also in terms of men. Yeah, they think that they deserve Brad Pitt. They think that they deserve Brad Pitt or somebody of equal high status, whoever the girls nowadays pin up on their walls, right? They deserve that kind of a guy. I mean, in the past, girls understood that in their social environment, they had a limited set of opportunities insofar as finding a man. And so they would have to make do with what they had. Because, see, that's life. You make do with what you have, however limited those resources might happen to be. And men are no different. They're a resource. And women in the past, I'm talking pre-1960, they had to make do with the men in their immediate social environment. But what's happened over the last 60 years is that women feel that they do not need to settle, quote unquote. And so they hold out. They keep on holding out for the better, handsomer, taller, bigger dicked, more successful guy. They hold out and hold out and hold out, and eventually they wind up with no one. And that's the thing about women nowadays, that they don't seem to realize it. See, they've been encouraged all through their teenage years and their 20s and even into their 30s to believe that they deserve all kinds of things that in the past, a woman in the past would never have conceived that she deserved it. But women today think that they deserve something unearned, and all of a sudden they hit their late 30s, early 40s, and nobody's catering to them anymore. The interest from the men, the interest from the society, quite frankly, evaporates. Yeah, of course, because see, women are only interesting rather, to men when they're fertile. Yes, of course, because it's a sex drive. We men are interested in women, not because of women, not because of anything that they might happen to be. It doesn't matter if they're brainy or cultured or accomplished. We don't give a shit about that. All we care about is whether they are fertile. And we hone in on certain cues to their fertility. And that's what draws our attention, like moths to a flame. And once that flame is extinguished, i.e., once a woman hits her 40s, when she's no longer fertile, we move on. We ignore her. We don't even see her. She becomes invisible. And then she starts drinking. I mean, what the fuck you think happens, man? These women who've become drunk on this attention, they start drinking like fish, you know, the wine ant or whatever the fuck they're called nowadays. You know, these alcoholic chicks, right? But they become garbage because in their teens and 20s and 30s, they were catered to. And once this attention is gone, they start becoming alcoholics and they, spring shit like, you can't handle a real man, shit like that, right? And what happens? Nobody wants them. Of course not. So they're spoiled and entitled and picky in their teenage years and 20s and into their 30s. And there's a small window, like around between ages 32 and 40, when all of a sudden they sort of like sense, if only at a subconscious level, that their days are numbered. And so they quickly try to latch on to some guy, yeah? Any guy, okay? No matter how low standard the guy might happen to be, oh yeah, they want to latch on to them because they know that it's tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. Their days of drawing attention, of being catered to, are ending. And so that's the dynamic that's going on with American women. And like I said, European women as well, German women, Dutch women, British women. I know this because I've lived in those countries. I can tell you what the fuck I'm talking about, right? I've lived in France, I've lived in England, I've lived in Germany, I've lived in the Netherlands, and all these women are the same fucking deal. Yeah, they are entitled. They think that they deserve so much more. And when they realize that they're not going to get what they want, when their days start to wind down in their 30s, they latch on to some guy, any guy, maybe even you. So that's what's going on with American women and European women as well. They're just spoiled. They're just shitty people. And it's not really their fault. I mean, it's easy to blame them and say that, oh, these fucking bitches, blah, blah, blah. But no, it's the culture. It's the culture. And it was just, how can I put it? The funny thing is that as I get older, I see things so clearly, okay? And J.D. Unwin, whom I mentioned earlier, he was so fucking right. I mean, people in academia hate him. That's why his book is basically suppressed. Sex and Culture, read it. It's a long read, but it's worth it because it explains what's going on. And like I said, the older I get, the more I understand. And ultimately, you have to remember that we are animals. We are animals and we react to our evolved instincts. And the sex drive is one of them. The second most important one after the drive to survive. And so, because of our rich society, because things are going or have been going so well for so long, well, we spoiled the women. Simple as that. We spoiled them. But things are about to change now, aren't they? Oh yeah, things are about to change big time because you see, the Western democracies have been rich for a long goddamn time, right? But now they're poor. Now they're fucking broke. Flat broke, yeah? I'm talking Europe and I'm talking about the United States and Canada. Yeah, broke as fuck, okay? Broke like, I don't know what you can think of like as broke. I'm talking broke, right? Enron broke, that kind of broke. The whole fucking thing. And we're about to go into a serious decline, see? I mean, like, metaphorically speaking, the sheriff is at the door of our foreclosed house, yeah, about to evict us from the home we no longer own, and our car is being repoed. Yeah, that's what's the situation of the Western democracies right now. It's over-indebted. Hyperinflation is about to rear its very ugly head. I mean, we're up Schitt's Creek, man. And yet still these women act the same way. They act as if our society is so fucking rich. And that's the funny thing. At this stage, where things in the Western democracies are really going off a fucking cliff, they act like they still deserve all of these entitlements and perks and benefits and whatnot. They're more garbage than ever. Yeah, so you want a woman, you want a decent woman, a nice woman, a woman who will care for you, right? And at least be kind to you. I mean, these fucking entitled women, these garbage women, they're not even fucking kind. I'm talking about the simple quotidian decencies, you know what I'm saying? They're not even that, but fuck them. Anyway, the point. See, you want a nice girl? There are two options, see? Wait around for this nightmare of poverty in the Western democracies, you know, this big depression that we're probably already in the middle of, and it's going to get a hell of a lot worse over the next few years, over the next decade and a half, 2 decades probably. Wait around 15, 20 years, and on the opposite end, or on the exit side of this depression, you'll find a lot of decent women who've gone through hell and high water and who've come out on the other side like decent, kind, feminine, nice women. You can do that, i.e. wait around 15, 20 years, or you can go overseas. Overseas, and likely as not, I'd say Asia. Yeah, Asian women are probably where it's at. Yeah, because you're not going to find any kind of decent women in the Western democracies. Fuck no. See, as things get worse, they're going to act more entitled, more spoiled, because it's going to be a product of hysteria. See, as they recognize that their fortunes are seriously declining, the society's fortunes are seriously declining, they're going to become more and more hysterical. I mean, you think that the Me Too movement and all this believe all women shit is pretty bad now. You just wait. It's going to get a hell of a lot worse before it gets better. As a product of hysteria, as a product of fear, of financial fear, of economic insecurity, it's going to get a hell of a lot worse. The women are going to get a hell of a lot more entitled and spoiled and bratty and bitchy. And you know, what's the point? What's the point of dealing with that shit? There's no point at all, of course. And waiting around for these women, or at least a generation of women, to learn their lesson and to treat guys with a little bit of fucking decency. Dude, man, it's going to be, like I said, 15, 20 years. You want to wait around that long? Fuck no. Now, I'm going to do a video on Eastern European women who are a fucking nightmare. I mean, they're hot. They're blazing hot, but they're a fucking nightmare, okay? And if you're a young guy, you probably can't handle them, okay? If you're an old fart like me, maybe you can handle them. I mean, they're hard to handle. Let's face facts, right? But no, the kind of woman you want at this point is Asian. I'm talking Korean, I'm talking Chinese, Taiwanese, Singaporean, Thai. I mean, going to Thailand is kind of icky because everybody gets the vibe that it's basically sex tourism, right? I'd frankly look at Korean women and Chinese women, yeah? And they like Western guys, sure they do, yeah? They find them a hell of a lot more attractive and interesting than their local guys, right? And they're not gonna be so fucking spoiled. That's the point. See, again, like I said in a previous video, the kind of woman you want a cheerleader. You want a woman who's going to cheer you on, who's going to give you support. I mean, real support, okay? Not the ersatz bullshit support. You want her to give you that emotional support so you can climb your Everest, carry out or go after the big objectives that you have. And you're not going to find that with Western women. And by the way, when I talk about Western women, I include like Asian Western women. You know, Asian Americans, Asian Germans, you know, shit like that. See, because they're just as entitled and spoiled, okay? I mean, they become contaminated with this disease, okay, of entitlement and being spoiled, right? No. You got to go to the source. You got to go to Asian women. Why? Because those societies are poor, okay? And now that I think about it, not so much Korean, but like Chinese, Singaporean, Vietnamese, Cambodian, yeah. They're poor societies, and the women there are not going to be so entitled. And they find a decent guy, presumably you know, a hardworking, decent guy who wants to do the right thing, wants to raise a family and earn a decent living. You don't want anything special other than just a nice material life and a fulfilling family life, which are exceptionally good objectives, okay? Well, An Asian woman, a Thai or Vietnamese or Cambodian or Chinese woman, she's going to be down with that in a way that a Western woman never will. See? A Western girl who's 24, what's she thinking, you know? Fucking the Chad and getting wasted on the weekend. That's what she's thinking about. Cambodian girl, Vietnamese girl, Chinese girl who's 24, she's thinking of finding a right man, locking him down and having a bunch of babies. That's what she's thinking. If she finds a nice guy like you, who can provide this, she'll stick to you. She'll stick to you and she'll support you in a way that a Western woman won't. I mean, look, it's really unfortunate, but that's the situation, okay? I mean, it's always important to look at history. History gives us a guide because people never change. And so that's why history repeats itself or rhymes or just, you know, it's all cyclical. And right now we are in the decays of an empire. And we are seeing what has happened in previous empires. Look at the Roman Empire, the Western Roman Empire, and how it decayed in the end. You had all kinds of perversions and perversities. I mean, real decadent shit going on, right? Even as the empire was decaying. And more infighting, which you're seeing now, of course. All this infighting and just fights over trivial shit as the whole ship sank. You see? Well, that happened in the past in the Western Roman Empire, which you're probably more familiar with, but it's happened in every decaying empire. And it's happening now. All these chicks on OnlyFans and shit like that, you know, peddling their ass for a few nickels. Oh, what the fuck you think that's all about, huh? Decadence, man, decadence. And we're experiencing it, we're seeing it, and this is why American women are garbage. And like I said, maybe in 15, 20 years, it'll turn around. It probably will, because like I said, you know, we're heading off a cliff. It's going to be a whole shit show, and you know, everybody's going to go through misery for a decade and a half, 2 decades, maybe longer even, right? And on the other side, people will be okay. But for now, you got to see what's going on and realize that America, Western Europe, that ain't where you're going to find any chicks. At least no chicks who are worthwhile. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did and like my work, please subscribe to my Patreon channel. Link is in the description below. I put out an extra video every week, and I also do a Sunday show called The Weekly Webinar, where I discuss a particular topic and I take calls and comments, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. So please check it out. Thanks very much, and I will catch you next time.